Hello, everyone. Great to see you here. I'm happy to be here at VARC and share what I can share about animal sanctuaries. As you can see in the title, we do think that they can be very helpful for the movement, and they are at the heart of the movement. This talk, I guess it's for everyone, not just for people that work inside animal sanctuary. It could be a talk maybe to get inspired to know how to learn inside the sanctuary, how to support sanctuaries, how to collaborate, how to get inside the education programs. So before I dive deeper into the presentation, I'm going to share just a few words about us. So we are a sanctuary in Italy. The name is Capra Libera Tutti. Capra Libera Tutti is one of the largest farmed animal sanctuaries in Europe. We have 500 rescued animals, and it's on 500 hectares of regenerated land. It was founded 10 years ago through the transformation of a former farm. So what began as an individual decision has grown into a collective project supported by thousands of people. Rooted in the daily practice of care and rehabilitation, the sanctuary has evolved beyond the traditional idea of refuge. Today, and that's where I'm going to be focusing from now on, it operates as a living community and an international hub for education, research, and new forms of human-animal coexistence, working to make alternative future accessible. So basically, we think the sanctuary is an open door to a different future. It's a place, it's an existing place, it's an existing environment where we can actually have an experience and where we can start imagining how a different future could be. I want to start from here, the power of stories. Rewriting the narrative from victimhood to agency. Stories move people. I think we all know that stories are so powerful, and the sanctuary is a container of stories. And so the way we tell stories can really drive change, and we can see that. So something I want to say is that when an animal is entering the gate of the sanctuary, so it's the beginning of a new life. So since that moment, the animal is no longer a victim anymore. So since that moment, the animal is starting a journey, a path, an adventure, an experience. The animal is becoming owner of his life. The animal is the protagonist of that life. And so what we see inside the sanctuary is that there is a kind of a new culture that is forming. We see a culture made by animals of different species, groups of animals having this culture going on because they are able to live. And so they change year by year. And so this is something that's the way we tell the stories to people. The animals as agents, as active members of this multi-species community, as co-creators of a social structure, because the sanctuary is a social structure. And so that's the way we narrate, that's the narrative we have with people, with students. And so we are actually reimagining the sanctuary as a think tank and cultural hub for social transformation. Some key areas, just a few. Public events. So a sanctuary is a place where we can have open days, workshops, guided tours, and that's a way to welcome people into this experience, into this way of trying new forms of coexistence. But of course, participation in festival conferences and so on, so it's a way to take stories out. Digital communication is really important. We invest a lot in this. Also media collaboration. The sanctuary is a container story. I'm telling you this so much, I know. But it made it also on big TV channels. Because the way you tell stories, it can go everywhere. So we made it onto big TV channels many times, national TV channels. Educational programs with schools and universities, and volunteering project. From now on, I'm going to be focusing more on the educational programs, because that's a way to see how the experience can work inside the sanctuary, but in a way, we work in the same way with people when we open to the public. But I'm going to be focusing more on the educational program. So Capra Libera Tutti operates at the intersection of experiential pedagogy, animal studies, and care ethics, showing how education can become a multi-species, relational, and politically meaningful practice. So basically, when we go around with people and with students, that's another way to tell stories. And I tell you that when we are next to an animal, for example, we are next to Ferruccio. He has an amazing story. I could talk for an hour. But yeah, basically when we say where he come from, what happened to him, how he is today, who are his friends, his preferences, this can change completely because people can look at the animals right next to us. So we are talking about an animal, but people can connect. And we saw this as a very transformative experience. We like to call it more than humane education because more than humane education starts from a simple shift. So education does not take place on the word but within it. So it comes back to the experience. It's something you try, it's something you live. It recognizes that learning always happens in common words shared by humans, animals, places, material conditions, and power relations. So education is not something that happens just inside our minds. Again, it's something that happens when we share something, an environment, an experience, relationships. From this perspective, education is not about controlling or simplifying reality, but about learning how to live responsibly inside complex world. Just other notes about this before we go on. It challenges the idea of education as neutral, human-centered, and detached. Learning here is about situating humans responsibly inside complex ecological and social realities. And education is not a tool to master the world, but a practice to have inhabiting it. So basically, when it comes to education, we often learn how to make the world functioning for us as humans. So that's why we want to take people into this experience to have education as a practice for inhabiting it, this world. So let's imagine we are on a guided tour. So the sanctuary is designed in a way that animal agency is enabled, animal boundaries are respected. So whatever we do inside the sanctuary, this is an important element to consider. Animal agency should be always enabled rather than suppressed. So especially because when we are with students, but also with lots of people that come, because usually they are not vegans as well. So they're used to see animals inside places where animal agency, there is a lack of realization of animal agency. So for us, it's really important to have a space where they can see it happening. So let's imagine we are on a guided tour. We meet an animal, we meet a group of animals. So the first thing we do is observation. Usually people, but students as well, the first thing they want to do, they want to run towards animals, they want to touch them, maybe they want to take a picture, and they lose the chance to see what is happening. And so it might seem simple to say, but actually when people are there, we want them to notice that an animal maybe is relaxing, is sleeping, an animal is talking to another animal, an animal is inviting the group of the same species to move and go somewhere else. An animal is just playing with another one. An animal is observing us maybe. We are observing what is happening, they are also doing the same. And so that's the first step for people and for students to see the animals in a different way, to see the animals as thinkers, as decision makers. Because when you stop and observe, you see that there is a lot that is happening into this environment. And so that's the first step for them to start seeing things from a different perspective. So the sanctuary for us is a living environment. We make it clear to people, to students, it's not a location to come, it's not a landscape, it's a living environment where actually learning is happening. It's everything around us, like the material conditions, the forest, the field, the sun, the rain, the seasons, the animals that are in that spot, the people, how many people. So everything together makes an experience, makes something that is happening. And so when we are into this experience, when we consider that everything that is happening, that's how students, that's how people start seeing animals with a different point of view. learning with animals, not about animals. It's something we keep reminding it to people. So we don't want to put another label to animals. They are not educational tools. They are relational subjects. And so another exercise that we do together, sorry, is to start seeing how all the chickens are different, how all the pigs are different. Because usually we put them in categories like species, pigs, cows, chickens. But actually, if we stop and we start observing a lot, we can see that we know it, that all chickens are different. But when we are there, especially with students and with people that are in a sanctuary for the very first time, maybe it's the curiosity that brought them there, it's a way to see how many differences, how the variety, the diversity into the other animals world. And so that's another important exercise to do, because you can see animals more extrovert, other more introvert, and you see others that are coming to us, others that do not want to have anything to do with us. So there's so much we can observe. So this exercise with students and with people, it helps a lot. Of course, we reflect on the fact that we are all vulnerable, and we can see that. And we do not try to control the situation, because as humans, we are very good at controlling. Maybe we don't want to do it, but it's something that can happen naturally. And so we reflect on this, and we reflect also on the fact that even the other animals are usually responding to us. So another way for us to minimize the animals is to say, I did this, I did that, and they reacted this way. So we cancel all the abilities they have to think, to decide, to process our actions, and then to respond to us. So we reflect on this. And the more we reflect on all those kind of things, the more they understand in front of them they have someone, people like us, actually thinking. Animals that are responding to all we do. We enter a kind of communication in the sanctuary. And I guess many of you joined maybe nonviolent communication trainings. So probably you learned that the 7% of our communication comes from the words we use. The 38% comes from the nonverbal communication, so like tone of voice, for example. And the 55% comes from the body language. So even now, I'm actually communicating with you mainly with my body rather than the words and all the rest. So I'm telling you this because that's the main form of communication we have inside the sanctuary. So that's why it's important to stop, to observe, to understand how we move our body, if we are rushing towards somewhere, if we are calm, or if we have very strange behaviors. So all we do, all our behaviors actually are observed by the animals, and they are actually responding to us. So this is important to consider, because before there is an interaction, there is a lot to understand about ourselves, and then maybe eventually, if the animals are giving us the chances to get closer, students, for example, can get closer to the animals. But we will see more in a minute. Around the sanctuary, we can also encounter animals with different abilities, needs, and form of dependence. And so all of this is allowing us to understand that vulnerability, again, is not a failure. We again reflect on the fact that we are all vulnerable. We realize that autonomy is not the norm. So we live in this system, in this society that is pushing us to believe that the more we are autonomous, the more we are independent, the better it is, the greater it is, the greater the success. But actually, when we are in this multi-species community, when we observe what is happening, it's easy to understand that no one is autonomous, and interdependence is a shared condition of life. We reflect on the fact that life is existing because of relationship, because we support each other, because we help each other, because of care, and so on. So when we this is something we can see in general when we meet animals inside the sanctuary, but mainly when we get into those areas where there are animals with special needs. We do not provide formal affective education, but there is something really interesting that is happening with students and with people, because, as I said before, we meet the animals, we observe, we wait, we try to understand this form of communication that is happening between us and them. And so students, people, understand consent as an ongoing process there. Because animals sometimes show us they don't want us to get closer, they show us they don't want to be touched. Other times they clearly ask for some touch, some cuddle. So again, it's another way to see animals communicating with us. It's another way to see animals that are thinking, that are deciding. So the way people start seeing animals is a complete new way. We are not used to see this anywhere else. They understand the legitimacy of refusal, and that's okay. Sometimes animals refuse our affection, our will to touch them, and it's okay. And it's an interesting exercise for students and for people, because they come and they think they are there for them, but actually they are there because they live there. It's a social structure, it's a community. You are entering this social structure, and it's a way to see how to stay in this social structure, and it's a way to see also boundaries. It's full of boundaries. Wherever we go, wherever we move, there are boundaries that are decided by the other animals. Sometimes they might be decided by us as well. But yeah, it's a way to understand this, and it's a way to understand non-coercive relationships. To complete the experience for everyone, we also serve food, of course, vegan food. We have a team preparing sometimes easy meals, maybe burgers, cakes, snacks. Other times we have chefs doing great menus, beautiful meals. And so it's another way to go deeper into the topic. It's another way to touch other aspects about the environmental impact, social inequality, and so on. So this is another chapter. I'm gonna be very quick with this because it opens a new presentation, actually. Of course, as a sanctuary, we practice care. But care, it could be also a simple act to say to the other animals, I'm seeing you. I see you, and this is a space for you. But care, of course, we know it could be very connected to the veterinary education. And there are amazing veterinarians out there. I see also one here in the room. But when we have to call veterinarians, we experience something very annoying sometimes, because veterinarians study inside universities that teaches them how to support the food system. Often it's like that. And when they work with farmers usually do not spend so much money on taking care. So when we call veterinarians, sometimes we have strange situations, and we change many. But that's why we also carry on another type of education programs with students coming from universities and international areas. So we do trainings in individual-centered, lifespan-oriented medicine, and care become a practice as relational responsibility, not like the system, so not like productivity management. We want to see if what we do has an impact. When we are there, we see, because before, for example, if I go back to the education programs, we usually go inside school first, and then we welcome schools. In the sanctuary, we want to have those 2 sessions. It's important for us to go first at school to prepare the classroom before they come. But yeah, it's hard to say in the long term if it's working. But we send post-visit questionnaires, open-ended responses. We get written reflections from students. And it's beautiful to observe what they write. And also with some schools, when teachers are very involved, they also carry on the work. Maybe they send us podcasts, text, drawings. Another school created pieces of arts. So there's so much we can say, but it's hard to say with schools in the long term. So we are still trying to understand how to research. We have this survey, and it was adjusted a little bit by Faunalytics, but yeah, we are still trying to understand how to measure the impact with schools, but it's different, for example, when it comes to people that come in the sanctuary. Even with them, we send surveys, but we spend lots of time to read through them, to really see how they change the way they use words, how they change over time. But also we spend a lot of time to read and reply all the email they send us in reply to the newsletters, the messages on social media. And it's beautiful to see that, especially with people, not with schools, because when one day, so one of the point of our manifesto is we meet you where you are. So when they enter this journey with us, it's good to go on with them and to read and to really see how we can move on together. So it's a replicable model, a place of rescue, a space of care, a site of knowledge production, a laboratory of social transformation. So that's why I'm also sharing this, because it can be replicable. For us, Capra Libertut is not only a sanctuary, it's a living alternative. It does not only criticize the system. This is so important for us. It makes another world visible and livable. So we do believe that this experience that people can have inside can really transform them. And so this is the last chapter. Alternative practices shift imagination. So this alternative there, it's an alternative. It's an alternative to the system we have. And can really shift the way people imagine new worlds, new possibilities, new forms of coexistence. And that's why we do think that education translates alternative into a new culture. And we also, when we open to the public, sometimes we have guests. We also invite marginalized communities. We do queer events, social justice movements. So it's another way to contaminate each other with other movements. And it's really interesting to see what is happening there, to interconnect what we do with other issues. And to close it, this is our payoff that we decided to have, because all the people replying to us, sending email to us, answering the surveys, even students sometimes, that's what they say to us. So that's why we decided to have this. And I think it makes it clear that it's a living environment for people to spend a day and hopefully to transform themselves. There's so much more I would love to share. I squeezed many things, but about sanctuaries, I could talk for hours. But yeah, you can get on the website, you can text me, you can stop me around, you can ask questions now. And there is a meetup tomorrow morning at 10 if you want to go deeper into this. Thank you so much.